Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are all well. I just wanted to come on really quickly just to say like how happy I am to see what I've been waiting for a very long time. What the UK, what the world, what Europe has been yearning for a very long time, and that is the awakening of the British public. And you can see it everywhere. It doesn't matter what process, what platform, what channel you go through, you can see what's taking place on the streets of Britain. People have had enough. And it doesn't matter no more. It's not, no, you cannot say it's the right wing no more. You cannot. It is literally impossible just to label a group of people in one place, because this is multinational and this is without attacks taking place. This is enough. Like, people have literally had enough. This is where the tolerance of the British people has now drawn a line. This is where people say, do you know what? You have crossed it. That's it. That's with the government, that's with leftists, that's with the migrants, that's with everything. The British people, we, the British majority, have had enough. And we are speaking up. And we are speaking out in volumes. And it's not just men. We're not just seeing, the local lads that you would normally see, and like myself in an Adidas tracksuit with the Union Jack or a St. George flag. We're seeing mothers, daughters, grandmothers, aunties, uncles, grandparents come together in force, in unison, united as one, to protest peacefully, and may I promote that peacefully, against this tyrannical, oppressive establishment that we so say call our government. It's been lifted. The face of the Labour Party, the mask has slipped. It is gone. And finally, people have now found their voice. And I didn't think, for the most part, a lot of people didn't think that it would happen. But there's always that part of me that still thought that Britain has got it. We have got it. We always have arrived. Even so be it, in the past, we have arrived late. We have always arrived. And the very land that we walk on, we take for granted. Our ancestors, that, like, when we look on whether we're walking on through a field or whatever, we don't think of the blood, the sweat, the tears that our ancestors, through centuries or even millennia, has soaked this very ground that we walk upon, they've fought on, they've worked and toiled on, lived on, gave birth on. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are standing for. And you can say, and I used to think, as a naive person back in the day, it was always about politics. And that you have to study politics to know what's going on, or you have to be involved with the news daily to be about or know about things, which to a degree you do. And it's thanks to some of the independent journalists that do produce what they do. It's thanks to some of the YouTubers that have the platforms and channels they do. It's the likes of Elon Musk that has X, which was formerly known as Twitter, open and available for us to be able to see the truth instead of being brainwashed by the elites and the left-wing media and propaganda. And now I realise it's no longer about politics. You don't have to be a scholar in religion. You don't have to know every single thing about politics or politicians or parties. You don't have to be a specialist in the news or know every single categorical thing that is taking place in the United Kingdom. You just have to live it, experience it, and that is enough. And the UK, be it you cannot get a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment, or that you've seen firsthand how people who have illegally came into our country get treated better than those of us who have lived here, and our families have lived and paid into this very system for centuries. Or even some refugees that I know that have come here to better their lives, to actually integrate and assimilate and chip in to make this country a better country and enjoy our culture and share our values and principles, escaping foreign ones, alien cultures that would see them dead because of their thoughts or opinions of certain people or books or what have you. They have come here and they too are sick to death of seeing what is taking place in our streets, in our society, in our culture, in every aspect of the United Kingdom. And ladies and gentlemen, like I said, the mask has slipped. But where do we go from here? This is the important message. And this is where I believe we all need to do our part. Unfortunately, and the same is going with the left, however, not so much, there is a division in our society. As you are fully aware, we've got the left and we have the right. However, there is a bigger division amongst those on the right, or those who would class themselves centrist or centre-right. Between that middle of centre and right, we're getting groups pop up from out of nowhere. Not every single group is going to get into government. That's fact. Okay? We need to agree on this, guys. This is just simple facts. Okay? We have the likes of Ben Habib with Advance UK. We have the likes of Rupert Lowe with his movement. We have the likes of Nigel Farage with Reform UK and Richard Tice and all that, and Zia Youssef and all those in Reform UK. We also have Paul Golden with Britain First. We have Nick Tenconi with UKIP. We've got all these parties that pretty much have the same message, the same values, the same doctrine, the same principles, and want the same things. They just differ on certain other topics. And the main one is reform. Because although they might be, if you would say or argue, centre-right when it comes to culture or mass deportations and stuff like that, and migration or immigration as a whole, when it comes to the economy, they are quite towards the left. And when it comes to UKIP, I personally believe, as a Christian, that UKIP's values and principles and more radical approach is what is needed for this country, because we have gone past a point of no going back if radical change doesn't take place. We also have Britain First, which again are similar to UKIP. And we have Advance UK, which again are on the same path as UKIP and Britain First, however, just a little bit more to the centre. These egos, now they will all deny that they have got an ego. They will all deny this, they will all deny that. That's fine. But it is about egos. And it is about dominance here. This is the main concern that I have. This needs to be brushed aside. And the only way, ladies and gentlemen, that we can unite these people is by writing to them directly and bombarding them and coming out with the same message. We need boots on the ground. We need people who are going to say, guys, whatever happened in the past between Ben Habib and Nigel Farage, or Rupert Lowe and Zia Youssef, or Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage as well. Even what's happening with Tommy now, currently in custody. These simple differences or arguments that they have between them, they need to be brushed aside. If they are serious enough and love enough Britain and the British people, they would put all their differences and their egos aside to join as one. And that, ladies and gentlemen, we can forget the Tories now. That's it. They have had multiple chances. They're done. They're finished. Finito. They were binned ages ago. Even when they got Kemi Badenoch coming in. That's it. The Tories are done. And you'll still have a couple. You'll have the fan club, and that'll be it. And they're only there because they're just too stubborn to leave the party that they voted for decades. Fine. Forget about them. This is all about new parties now. Politics in the UK has now changed. Unfortunately, for the worse. Because if it was that easy, we would just be able to vote for the Tories had they have changed their ideas to the likes of Reform and UKIP, Britain First and Advance UK. Had they had come with these similar values and principles, which they're trying to make out they are, but they're still a globalist party. They're still run by the global elites. And the biggest fear I have about Reform UK as well is that Nigel, who was an MEP, knows just as well as most people who are heavily involved in politics that there is a globalist agenda towards his side too. And some people in the background that you may not want to be there. And there are things that you won't know that happens to take place in politics. That's why that term they've used for generations, never trust a politician, that's where it's derived from. Because you believe that those who are speaking for you are genuine until they get into power and show their true colours. We've seen this many of times with many of prime ministers and parties across the years. However, we are at a time now where we can actually see and look. Body languages of people have changed. The tone in which people speak have changed. Things that were once taboos are now being spoken and debated on a level that we have never ever seen before. And questions are being asked. Unfortunately, at the same time, people are being censored, silenced, locked up even. Britain has locked up more people because of social media posts than Russia and North Korea. Can you believe that? And in America, the Americans at the moment, they cannot believe what is happening to Britain, our sister nation. They can't believe a country as strong as us that once ruled the world near enough has become this weak, broken, just chaotic country where cities no longer resemble what they used to be. Where we have got cities now where the native indigenous British people are now a minority. We're talking about London, Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, all these countries, not countries, all these cities, they are now British, indigenous, minority cities. And I'm not saying we should kick everyone out and then get a load of British people in. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is because of the past, because we've let things slide, because we have been too silent, and because the governments have been too corrupt to say or do anything about it in fear of being labelled or tarred as a racist or an Islamophobe or an ism or phobic or something, whatever. They have left the subject altogether alone, and that is why our country has turned into the abyss. So going forward, what I aim to do as someone who's with this area of interest is to try and get these people and try and get you, the audience, you who watch my videos and others' videos, try and get this message out that we need to directly show the likes of Nigel Farage, Ben Habib, Rupert Lowe, Paul Golding, Nick Tenconi, all of those. We need to show them all that we don't want Advance UK, Reform UK, UKIP, or Britain First. What we want is the United Kingdom. The kingdom united once again. We want Britain back. We want our streets safe again. Safe enough like when I was young, where children can ride their push bikes along the streets without worrying about strangers taking photos or videos of them or being kidnapped or abused in any kind of way. Where our most vulnerable in society are looked after. Where those who take the mick out of the system are forced into work so they do not leech off of the taxpayers' money. Where there is a halt on both legal and illegal immigration, and those who have entered the United Kingdom illegally are sent back to their countries. No ifs, no buts, just sent back. And those who attempt to come here illegally also sent straight back and never given a chance to come here again. Where those who harm our most vulnerable, the children or women in our country, are dealt with hardly and efficiently. Where those who do come here to seek a better life are welcomed, but are also made to integrate and assimilate. And if they do not, and they commit crime, they are sent back. And that's what we need to do. We need improvements in education. We need our councils to have better resources. We need to get rid of this wokeism, this DEI nonsense that is reaping havoc through all industries across the United Kingdom, where people are getting paid salaries of up to £120,000 in the NHS, more than a doctor, more than a junior doctor, to tell people to be nice and to respect people's pronouns. Or if they identify as a cat, you must meow back. I am sorry, but it's jobs like those we wipe out. We take that money from those pots and we put it into pots that actually do look after and do go into preserving and taking care of the British people's interest. But one last thing, and this is the major thing that we need to talk about, because there is No party talking about this apart from UKIP, Britain First, and Advance UK. Demographic change. Our country, Britain, this very land that has belonged to us for centuries, will become, our people here, born and bred, the DNA of Britain, this island, will be a minority by the end of this century. We cannot allow Britain or the British people to become a minority in their own island or in their own country or nation. We cannot allow that. It must be stopped, and it is a debate that must be had. And it needs to be had now. Because if we cannot see these parties or those who like to lead these parties talk about these issues with confidence, with policies, with plans in place, where they can tell us what they can do to put a cap on demographic change and encourage and promote British people to have families, make it cheaper for them to buy houses, where British people are housed first before foreign nationals or those who are seeking asylum in this country. If we can do that and help those who have got the children who are struggling to get by, and we can promote that, and we can get back into schools, teaching them the right things in life, not rubbish nonsense that by drag queens that are coming in with men dressed up as women, with their tackle hanging out by their legs, reading them books about boys liking other boys. And if you play with girl stuff, it means you want to be a girl. Or if you're a girl playing football, that you're destined to be a man. That all needs to go. What we need is to talk about all of this in one go. It all needs to be addressed. But the demographic change is one that is of significance. Because without anyone addressing this, without a policy for this, our grandchildren, just our grandchildren alone, we won't see it, but our children and our grandchildren will see Britain become a minority. And that is when, ladies and gentlemen, changes that the British people would have wanted, or what our children and grandchildren would say our grandparents would be turning in their graves right now. That's what they would be saying. They won't be able to change anything. Because block voting, and you've seen the way these votes, the voting system takes place, how the ballot box is abused at times, where you've got sections of communities that are told by their leaders to vote for a certain party and one party only. We know about all this. We've seen the harassment and videos of harassment on the streets when people are voting, where elderly people are just simply on their way to go tick a box at their local ballot box, and they're being harassed by foreigners telling them that they know where they live, and that if they don't go and vote for this independent MP, then this will happen to them, or that will happen to them. This is what's happened in previous elections, and we cannot let that happen again. And we cannot allow block voting to take place. And demographic change will be the problem. You mark my words. Unless something is done about that, and we can say to certain communities, and you know which one I'm talking about mainly here, the Religion of Peace, they voted all Labour. And I was talking to a florist the other day, as I was buying mother-in-law's flowers for her birthday. She said she didn't vote in the last election simply because she had a customer who came in and was Muslim, and she turned around and said that her imam has told her and her husband that they are all, and the rest of the mosque, those who attend the mosque, that they are all to vote Labour. And the same would have applied in all those across all mosques in the UK. So if you have a society or a community that is over 20-25% of the population voting for a certain party, or a new party that they've produced themselves, they could quite easily, quite happily take over the country and take government. And the power will be in their hands without a bullet even being fired. And that, my friends, is how they can take over within. And we don't want that. So demographic change needs to be tackled head on. But everything else, I believe, is in hand. It has been spoken of. And all the parties leaning towards the centre-right and the right are speaking very, very well on the topics that we feel very passionate about. And like I said, what's more enlightening and like a breath of fresh air is to see the courage and bravery of British women, British people, British families, and those who love Britain coming together, protesting peacefully, saying enough is enough. And not even the press can hide it from it no more. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the smile that I have been waiting for a very long time. Catch you on the next live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, please like, please share. But also don't forget, please email, message and comment on any of the leaders that you personally like or take a liking to with their party, and tell them, put your burdens aside with everyone who claims to be on our side and get together, because we are not going to win an election with every individual party representing us. It's not happening. There needs to be heads put around the table, differences aside, and agreements to be made, discussions to be had, and handshakes to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, the Patriotic Christian here. I'm out. Speak to you soon. God bless. Take care.